Williamson County Commissioners to order. We will start this evening with our invocation by Commissioner Paul Webb and our pledge to the flag by Commissioner Dwight Jones. Everyone please stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight thankful for all the blessings you have provided us. Lord, today is Flag Day in America, and we give thanks for all that our flag stands for in this great democracy. Let us always be thankful for those that put their lives on the line for us, both here and abroad. Those that teach our children, and those that support all the things that we do to live in this great place. Thank you to this body, and we ask that you guide us tonight as we make decisions for all of those that are affected in our wonderful county. Lord of all, in our Savior's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Has everybody gotten logged into open meeting? Are we ready for call roll? If you would. Everyone check your present button. We have absent, we have commissioners, or I guess you need to call the roll. We have, I guess, all right. Absent is Megan Guffey, Dana Osbrooks, and Steve Smith. We have heard from all of them. And Commissioner Ricky Jones is...
He's here.
Oh, he got here, okay. I didn't see his absence, but I hadn't found his name on here. So, call the roll.
I have 21 present, 3
He's
absent.
gonna announce that.
Commissioner Allsbrooks, Commissioner Guffey, and Commissioner Smith absent.
All right, thank you. Got to get used to the news of being actually live, so after being out so long. So next, we have approval of the minutes. These were emailed to you. We have a motion by Commissioner Bethard and a second by Commissioner Aiello. Are there any additions or changes to the minutes? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you approve the minutes, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone would you change your vote, do so at this time? Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
The minutes are passed. Next, we have citizens' communications. We have one person signed up. Please, when you come to the podium, state your name and address, and we have a 3-minute time limit. Ms. Laura Turner. Welcome back.
Glad to be back. Good evening. It has been over a year since I've been able to address you, and I am grateful to be able to do so tonight. I understand Mayor Anderson and the county planning staff have been discussing issues of annexation. I hope those conversations are continuing and prove productive. I will say what I've been saying for years, that we must protect and preserve our historic, scenic, and culturally significant resources. Now, more than ever, with the growth pressures that are upon us, our town and country lifestyle has successfully fueled our economic development engine, and we must continue to keep the country part of that lifestyle in the county. The growth in the city should go where there is already existing infrastructure, not out onto scenic, historic landscapes and our picturesque rural roads. The overwhelming growth being approved by the city of Franklin is causing more frequent and damaging flooding issues downriver of the Harpeth. A Navy SEAL in Montpelier Farms helped me kayak on the Old Natchez Trace Palm Sunday to feed the animals at Old Town, which were surrounded by floodwaters similar to the flood of 2010. After those floodwaters receded, portions of many dry stack stone walls collapsed due to the saturated soil on Old Natchez Trace, Temple, Cotton Lane, and Hillsborough Road. Our culturally significant resources are in harm's way with the increased flooding threats. Finally, I would like to thank our county government for getting us through the pandemic and for adopting the new comprehensive land use plan during it. And I'm grateful the retiring canine officer will be able to live with his handler in retirement and that our county will have a state-of-the-art animal shelter in the near future. I appreciate that kind of growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have communications and messages. I have one announcement. Everyone's microphone button should be blinking black or white and on and off. If it is not blinking, press it now, and then you shouldn't have to touch it again. So, Diane will turn you on and off from there, but if it's not blinking, it's not working, so press it now. Next, we have one late filed resolution. This was placed on your desk when it is 6-21-35. It will be heard after appropriations after 6-21-23. Are there any objections to adding that to our agenda? 6-21-35, and it will be after 6-21-23. Seeing no objections, we will add that to our agenda. Next, we have special resignation by Senator Jack Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask Representative Glenn Cassidy to join me, and also Mayor Anderson, if that would be permissible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, we're here today to honor an icon, a Williamson County icon, truly, Mr. Rick Berger, who many of us owe, well, we all owe a debt of gratitude for this amazing community that we live in. We were pleased to pass a resolution, a joint resolution sponsored by myself in the Senate and Glenn and Sam and Brandon in the House. It's been signed by Governor Lee to honor the memory of Rick Berger. And I was reading it, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to read the resolution, but I was reading through it, and it's pretty remarkable that he was admitted to the bar in 1973, I believe, and became the Williamson County Attorney in 1978. And the stories he could tell about this amazing community and the growth and everything that we love and enjoy about this community. So I'd like to yield, if I could, Mr. Chairman, to Representative Cassidy and Mayor Anderson. And when they're completed, please ask the family to join us so we may present this resolution.
Let me say, when I was here on the commission 20 years ago, Bert and Tommy, Jeff Mosley and Rick were the county attorneys. And after the county commission meetings, Rick always had a hunting story or something that he had done. And he was a fine man. He was a very learned individual, and he served his county well. And I was proud to take advice and learn from him and all that he had to give to us over these years. So thank you for having us.
You know, earlier today I was talking to someone, and Rick's name came up. Many of you sitting here do not understand the importance of Rick Berger and what he did for our county. He was that person behind the scenes. He was that person that helped craft so many of the rules and the regulations and the things that we enjoy today. He was a man that all of us enjoyed working with him, whether it was here or at the Williamson Medical Center. But above all during that period of time that since I've been around since 1986, he was a man that loved his wife and loved his daughter, and later in life got to enjoy a whole bunch of grandkids. And I just don't know anything else you could say about Rick, that all of us would be welcome to walk in his shoes and have the career that he had and have the life that he enjoyed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could we invite the family up?
Yes, sir.
Mary and Carrie and all the family, if y'all would come up.
For pictures, if the press would like to come up here for pictures, they can come on up here in the front. Yes. Where you can get a better picture. Come on.
Perfect, thank you. All right, big smile, guys. do one more. Beautiful, thank you.
Next, we have the mayor with the proclamation declaring June as Alzheimer's Month. So,
Cassie and Lana Scrapes. Cassie Jones and Lana.
Diane, have you got a copy of that?
It should be in the, do you all have it, Cassie?
you need Cassie and
If
who?
you'll go to the next one, I'll go get it.
All right, well, we will go to the next proclamation, which is the Centennial High School cheerleaders. So,
That one I do got, but I don't have that other proclamation. I don't think it was in the packet. Yeah, that other one wasn't in the packet, because I don't have it either, the Alzheimer's one.
It's all right, ladies, if you'll turn and face the audience, or your parents are wanting to take pictures.
yes. Drinking coffee.
You're the coach.
When it's hot, so.
Microphone, but
I've always heard that, so.
I think, and so, as we've announced, this is through the effort of County Commission and myself. I'm going to read part of this. I'm not going to try to pronounce all the names here tonight. The National High School Cheerleading Championship was conducted virtually at the Walt Disney World Resorts in Orlando, Florida. It was televised nationally, featuring tens of thousands of athletes and thousands of coaches representing teams from across the United States. And in April of 2021, the Williamson County schools were well represented in the competition, with Centennial High School, Franklin High, and Independence High, Spring Station Middle, Woodland Middle School, all being awarded national champion designated from the Williamson County School District. All of these young ladies participated in that to some degree. So individually and collectively, these athletes overcame numerous obstacles, as we know, in a national pandemic to participate in the most prestigious cheerleading championship in the country. As national champions, each squad was awarded the UCA National Champion Trophy, and each squad member will receive their own coveted white jacket, which they've got on, as a national championship ring. So it's by my signature tonight that we recognize all of these young ladies with a great seal of Williamson County here on this day in our county. And Coach, thank you very much for correcting all of them. I will give this to you.
Thank you so much.
You can say a few words.
Well, thank you for, first to our parents for all the support that they continue to give us and our community as well. And I don't think anyone understands how much hard work these ladies put into the passion of cheerleading for Centennial High School. So I'm so grateful to get to work with these kids day in and day out. And we've been working for a really long time to finally get one of these white jackets. And both varsity and junior varsity were able to win and bring home a program win. And that is a huge, huge accomplishment. So I'm so proud of these young ladies. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That proclamation wasn't in the packet, or I get in my copy, but I don't have one. It wasn't in the packet. We're waiting for Diane to bring the other proclamation, or do you want to go on with your reports?
Or we could just have Cassie come up and tell us about it. But we'll go ahead with my report. Thank you for being with us once again in person, and at this time I'll call upon Nina to come up and kind of give a snapshot of the county since the last time we were together last month.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. This evening in your packet, we have the May privilege tax report. For the month of May, we collected a little over 1.1 million in privilege taxes. We have your April budget report. We're on track for this time of year, working on our year-end closeout with all the departments and all the other elected officials. I will point out in the appropriations in general debt service and rural debt service, you do have two resolutions in your packet this evening that will cover the overages that are reported in those two funds. The April Cool Springs Conference Center, good month this month. We actually had a profit, $43,488. Your education impact fee currently have a little over $49.5 million that will be available to apply towards construction or possibly debt service. And other good news to report to you, we had our Moody's rating agency publish their annual comment this year. We had improved or stable comments in all the areas on that report, and that is on Moody's website if you'd like to go out and read that. So those are my reports for this evening.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, it does. Well, oh, yeah. All right, let me. Right. Commissioner Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Nina. I just have one question on Resolution 2 tonight. We're going to vote on appropriating some money for the trustee commission because we have exceeded what we projected for property taxes. Just for the record, could you tell us how much we exceeded our projections by?
I think that's in the schools fund. Rachel would have to address that with you.
Okay, I didn't see it in the resolution, so I just wondered what the number was. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Commissioner Sturgeon.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a real quick question. You said we're in the positive on Cool Springs Convention Center, 43,000, but we have a resolution for $300,000 in losses. How does that work?
This was just for the month of April. So they did have a few conferences come in for that month. The resolution covers the losses that we've incurred throughout the year.
Okay, all right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? I just turned her off, I think, so. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one other note. Many of you knew and appreciated Mary Mills for the many years of service that she had on this county commission. She had a couple of children. Her daughter, Joyce Blackman, passed away Saturday. And you that know Mrs. Mills know that she loved her family very deeply. And Joyce was an integral part of her family, not just her daughter, but her child. And so I would ask that you keep that family in your prayers, and certainly Mrs. Mills. The services, in the event that you'd like to go by for visitation, will be at Waters Funeral Home, and those will be on Thursday, June the 17th, from 12 to 5. That's 12 to 5 at Waters Funeral Home for Mrs. Mills' daughter, Joyce Blackman. At this time, Mr. Chairman, can I go back to the Alzheimer's? Diane has provided that for us. If I could get Cassie Jones to come up, who represents, there's two of these ladies, but Cassie is the only one that could make it tonight. Well, as soon as I said that, there's two.
I always travel in pairs, you know, I always have a psychic. So I just want to.
Oh, please, go right ahead.
No, you go.
No, you want me to take care of this first?
Yes.
Okay. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive degenerate disease of the brain causing memory loss and cognitive decline that seriously affects one's ability to carry out daily activities. Over 120,000 Tennesseans are living with Alzheimer's disease. Certainly during the pandemic that we've just finished, families living with Alzheimer's have experienced increased burden due to the isolation and the fear. Caregivers indicated their loved ones and their diagnoses are deteriorating more rapidly and quickly as a result of the shutdowns and the separation. The proclamation is to acknowledge and recognize the efforts here in Williamson County during this month, but every day, in my opinion. Alzheimer's affects all of us, every family, and the potential. And so I particularly am very fond of what Cassie Jones, many of you know her and her husband, Derby, in the paper, the efforts that she puts forward, and Laura Musgrave's another one that is not able to be with us tonight. They go out there every day and try to make a better life, raise funds, and give recognition to those many, many people that have Alzheimer's and their caregivers. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Cassie for that effort. Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank Rogers, Mayor Anderson, for all of his support. He's been very supportive to us in this cause. This is my friend Amy LeGrant. She's actually the chair of the Walk to End Alzheimer's that will take place this November, on November 6th. And I just want to thank you all for your support. Mayor Anderson is designating June as Alzheimer's Awareness Month. It is the third leading cause of death in Williamson County. And I certainly have a personal experience with Alzheimer's. I lost my grandmother, my mom, and then most recently my older sister to Alzheimer's disease. So this is kind of why I advocate and why I choose to spend a lot of time helping to create awareness for families that are suffering from this, as does Amy. And we just want to make sure that people know that there are resources out there and available to them. And we're looking for there to be a cure so that one day Alzheimer's disease does not exist. So just thank you to you all, and thank you to Diane and to Mayor Anderson. And I've actually got T-shirts for you guys, so I might just leave them up here. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all you're, okay. All right, Director Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to echo what others have said. It's nice to be here physically, and it takes a little getting used to, but it's worth it, as you said, Commissioner. I do want to give you guys a couple of updates. Number one, Commissioner Lawrence asked a question, and so Rachel Farmer, our Assistant Superintendent for Finance, whispered to me that we pay a 2.5% commission to the trustee. So to give you estimate numbers, we budgeted approximately $154 million from the property tax, and the total that came in was about $165 million, to give you an approximation to answer that question. So the $250,000 was to represent that gap, that delta between budget and actual revenue over the course of the year. Also, another question that was asked, I know at the Budget Committee, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Sturgeon asked this about how many students were in our online program scheduled for next year, which is actually set up as two separate schools, a K-8 and a high school. We checked on those numbers, so as of last Wednesday, we had 494 students registered for the K-8 and 393 at the high school for a total of 887. Now, as you all know, when I talk about this on a regular basis, those numbers tend to fluctuate, here and there. But 887 is the actual total scheduled right now for the fall for our online schools. Also do want to let you know that many of you have gotten some emails from individuals really on myriad topics surrounding race, surrounding issues that we're working on related to making students feel safer, related to diversity issues, and our curriculum. I want to let you know that we have a policy for reconsideration of instructional materials. Over the years, it's worked well for us. I want you to know that the leadership of the group that has introduced some emails to you, we've had those conversations with them, and they have submitted those requests for reconsideration of instructional materials, and we're initiating that process. So I do want to also let you know that at the state level, you have seen some of the emails related to there's a new law, actually an amendment to a law that was passed just a few weeks ago by the legislature related to ensuring that students don't feel responsible for issues that happened, generations in the past, but we can teach history. We have been notified by the State Department of Education that they will give us guidance on that on August 1st. So in the meantime, we're going to continue to work because we have school coming up. So I want you all to know that we're working through that as well. If there is a budget issue, then that is something that might eventually hit your plate. But because you had received some emails, I felt it was important for you all to know that. Traditionally, summertime is not very busy comparatively for our teachers, but this is the first year of a new state summer school program. It was described as summer camp, but the reality is it's a summer school program that, at least for the elementary school students, is longer than a regular school day. And it's designed to close what gap developed over the course of COVID, with the governor announcing school closures last spring, over a year ago, and the impact across the state with schools and what has been described as learning loss. We have about 1,600 students in that summer program. They're at 10 different sites. It is elementary and middle school, rising first graders through eighth graders. In other words, our current kindergarten through seventh who matriculate up. We invited a number of students to come, and we expect, based on our knowledge from the state, that program will increase over time. This year it's 1,600. We expect that the expectations from the state will continue to grow. The state is fully funding that program this year. The projection is that it will likely be funded through state receipts of federal support, probably for 2 to 3 years. We don't know where we'll go from there. Then there may, over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, be discussions at the state. So I know that you all who have a lot of experience, you know the tradition. program gets funded from the state, and then after a few years, those responsibilities hit us. I can't predict for sure that that's going to happen, but that is something that we are keeping an eye on over the next couple of years. So with that, that's my quick summary report.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
Thank you. Jason, quick question. On the online program K-8 and high school, has TSSAA ruled on whether they can participate in sports?
Thank you for asking that question. To give a tiny bit of background, the TSSAA did not have a structure in place for an online school to participate, for students in that online school to participate at their zone school. They treated the online schools, and other counties have had them, we're not the first. They treated that as a separate school that might not have had a particular sport, and the school board had the power to choose a particular school for those students to participate in a particular sport. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want that to become a recruiting tool. We wanted students to be able to participate at their zone school. Just this past week, the TSSAA did approve a structure for those students participating online to participate at their zone school. Like every other TSSAA rule, there's a lot of detail to it. It includes participation the prior year, and so what we do recommend is if you hear anything from anyone asking about that, send them to their principal, or Darren Joins, our athletic director, so that we can make sure that we walk through their eligibility as an individual student because of the particularities of TSSAA. But we are very encouraged that, yes, they did make a change so that this is possible.
Thank you.
And while I'm here, I gotta say, Darren Joins, our athletic director, made that request, and from everything I've seen, got that started, and a lot of folks across the state recognize that needed to happen.
Thank you. Commissioner Sturgeon.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Golden, I was remembering the budget meeting, and I think I'd asked at what point, well, first of all, did we start having online for K through 8 because of COVID? Did we have online school for K through 8 before COVID?
We have not had an official online school for anyone up to this point. I had actually planned for us to continue the program one more year because of the scheduling for families, because they're making decisions in January for the next semester. The state said if you're going to do that, you do need to have an online school. We have not had an online school, but we did get approval for those too. Your ultimate question is where do we go from here? Our strategic plan called for increasing online, but COVID made us jump a whole lot faster than we intended.
So why was the school board's strategic plan to have online school for K through 8?
Well, so generally speaking, we had a strategic plan to increase online opportunities. The strategic plan did not specifically address how that was to be done. And so we did not have a particular goal for any particular grade level. It was just to increase student opportunities. And so what we're working on now is going through this year to see the interest. We've had, like I said, right now 870, I've confused myself, 887 total students. And I tell you, we're going to be looking at this on an annual basis. If a class doesn't make, we may not do a particular class over the course of time.
Now, I'm just curious at what number makes it worthwhile, right? At what point, do you say, there's 40,000 students in this, do we really want to spend all this money for online school when only 500 people are using it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
We don't have a firm number, and it's going to be based on issues like particular classes, particular programs at the high school level. I will give you an example, and this was 10, 12 years ago. Many of you remember, and I think I mentioned this at least to some, maybe not at the County Commission Budget Committee meeting, but I do recall when the school system closed Pinewood Elementary as a school. In that example, kindergarten got down to 14 students, and 13 of them were boys. And ultimately, there was a value judgment that maintaining that structure wasn't great for the students. So that's an example
So could you
of
see
the
eventually
process.
doing that for the younger grades for online school?
It could happen. It's going to depend on student interest and parent interest in the program. We've said over and over again that generally speaking, most students are better off on campus. But there are some students who can do well there, and so that's part of what we're vetting as well this year.
All right, thank you, Jason.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Rainey?
Just a brief question, please, about tomorrow's meeting with the public. Is that still on for 10 a.m.?
Commissioner, that is not something we have scheduled. That is something that a group, Moms for Liberty, which is a chapter of a national group, have scheduled for them to discuss. That is their presentation. What Williamson County Schools does when someone asks for reconsideration of instructional materials is give them an opportunity to fill out that request. We have a committee structure, and we review it in that way. So I can't speak to that particular meeting.
Well, and that's okay. I'm not looking for any one way, except I'm being bombarded by requests to come because that's the time you could come and meet with them.
Well, whoever said that never had a conversation with me.
That's what I suspected.
So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Rogers?
Mr. Chairman, I apologize for not looking at my notes, but one of the more important things I wanted to bring to the attention of the commission was that in the last few weeks, there's a large sum of money that is being made available to all of the counties throughout the United States and certain cities. In our state specifically, there'll be 18 cities and then several large counties, 50,000 population and above. And this money is called the American Rescue Funds. And so there's a lot of bells and horns and whistles that will go with this $46 million worth of funding that the feds are not sending to the state of Tennessee, but directly to us. I've asked Jeff tonight, Jeff Mosley, if he would give a quick snapshot of how that money, what it looks like, how we can spend it. It has to be COVID related. It has to be tied in some way to the COVID that has been occurring over the last year plus. So, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, if I could get Jeff to kind of give a snapshot of that and then let you all know we're trying to figure out how best to use these funds. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the American Rescue Plan was passed by Congress earlier this year in February, signed in March. And the Williamson County share of that will be $46 million. There are rules that we will have to comply with as we receive the money and expend the money. It will be delivered to the county in 2 tranches, half of it this year, half of it next year. The main prohibitions: we cannot use the money for any retirement funding. We cannot use it to pay debt service on anything that we have already appropriated and built. We also cannot reimburse costs incurred prior to March of 2021. So this is a prospective expenditure with one notable exception, and that is the loss of revenue to the county. And there's a relatively complicated formula for calculating that, because although we know we lost tourism dollars, we can't take it by revenue source. It has to be entity-wide revenue. So we have to look at the county revenue in 2019, 2020, 2021. The funds have to be appropriated, the projects by 2024, completed by 2026. Some of the major areas that we can use the funds for are public health, either an expansion of buildings or public health services. If there were disproportionately impacted areas in the county economically, we can use funds to try to remediate some of those impacts. As I mentioned, we can use it for revenue loss if that was incurred as a result of the pandemic. Water and sewer projects are available. As the county is not in the water or sewer business, that would probably be done, if it were to be done, and I'm not saying it would be, through subgrants to utility districts, and that is certainly allowed. But again, another set of rules go with that. And then essential workers are also eligible for some pay based on the impact of the pandemic. As long as it meets certain criteria, it can't go over 150% of the average income in the state, et cetera. So those are some of the general areas. The federal government has put out interim rules, 151 pages of interim rules, which are fun reading. If you all want any, I'll get you a copy. Included in that, though, are 24 questions that they're asking for public comment on, and we have until July 9th for certain people to make public comment. I don't know that the county will, but certain organizations will, and so we don't have the final rule yet on all of that. And some of these are very open-ended. It's not, they haven't even given us the guidance yet. They just have a general question. Hey, tell us what you think about X or Y or Z. So there's going to be quite a bit more guidance on this as we go. The mayor's office will have to collect some of the projects and the requests for funds, and we've already started at least getting inquiries from different entities, and then make a decision on how that's going to be appropriated. And again, we've got a few years to do it, and we've got some timetables that'll be met as we go forward. But that's the general umbrella that we're working under.
And if I could just hitchhike, thank you, Jeff, hitchhike on, you're probably sitting there thinking we could spend $46 million in road projects. Highways are not allowed to have any of this money. I guess the thinking, Eddie and several of us, Paul and Bubba, we were all up in a meeting here recently, and the highways were specifically excluded because there's some understanding that maybe some kind of infrastructure bill will come down the pike. But currently they can have no dollars of this. The other one are schools. The schools aren't allowed to have any of this.
Well, they get their own money.
But they get their own money. I think it's what, $5 million? So you will hear a lot of rhetoric going across Middle Tennessee and across the state for the schools. They get $5 million, and some of the other surrounding areas is quite a bit more than what we got. So we'll be spending time and energy on this. I think the press has done a very good job. I know that in reporting this a little bit, but as this begins to get momentum, I want you to know we're on top of it to the best of our ability. And one of the areas that we are looking at very strongly is broadband and trying to figure out, that's that third party that he was talking about. But there's one big hook that makes Nina very nervous, and it makes me very nervous. That if you allocate this money from the federal government and you do a project with someone and they audit you and find out that project's not done to their regulations, guess who owes it back? We do, the county general. So we would have already spent the money, then I'd have to come back and tell you we'd have to take that out of county general. So it makes us very nervous when they control the pitch, the count. I'm in baseball right now, baseball world. And they're also the umpire, so it makes me real nervous. I'll entertain any questions if you've got any, Mr. Chairman, and again, I apologize.
Commissioner Sturgeon.
Thank you, Chairman. Jeff, you mentioned sub-grants to utility districts, and I'm not really sure what that looks like, but we have a private sanitary sewer district in my district called Cartwright Creek. And it's old and it's dilapidated and it could really use a good infusion. Is that a possibility?
It's not explicitly prohibited by the regulations right now. And there is some discussion in the interim rule of the use of private entities to facilitate projects like that. We haven't seen that section fleshed out yet, so it's possible, but we're just going to have to wait for the next set of rules to see if how specific it gets.
Okay.
But it's
All right.
possible.
Well, we'd really like that money if we could have it.
I don't get to make that decision, so
Commissioner Lathers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a quick question along those lines. With the sub-grants for utility districts, we have some hamlets that have had approved special area plans. Is there any foreseen use of some of these funds for alternate wastewater treatment centers that could create some commercial in some of our little hamlets?
Again, that's not explicitly prohibited by the rules yet, and there is some discussion of wastewater and using other third-party facilities for wastewater, sewer, drinking water, and the like. But it's not very specific as to how that's going to be yet. I think we're going to get more guidance in the next set, but they seem to be envisioning some use of subgrants with private entities, either public or for-profit even, if it meets the end goal of cleaner water, wastewater, and the like that may have been impacted by the pandemic. Those areas may have been. So you still have to tie it back to some degree, but it's possible.
Right, thank you very much.
I think I will, unless you've got another question, I'll wrap it up. You
There's
do
one
have
more
another?
question. Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, I have a question, Mayor. Thank you. Well, two questions, actually. Do we have to share any of this with the municipalities?
So there's several smaller buckets. The county got approximately 46 million. If you were over 50,000, you got a certain dollar amount, and I really don't know what that dollar amount was with Franklin. And each of the smaller cities got money through the state, not directly from the feds like we got it.
But we don't have to share our allocation with a locality. We can.
Yeah.
We can do an interlocal if we've got a joint project, such as you mentioned broadband. If we were doing that in conjunction with the city, we could allocate money that way, but their money that they're getting from American Rescue is coming through the state.
Okay. So what if we can't find enough projects that fit the criteria to spend the 46 million? Is there ways we can appeal to a board and try to get maybe more exceptions or any kind of exceptions to the general rules, or how does that work?
Well, right now, I think Washington's in a mess, so you can appeal all you want. I just don't think you're going to get a lot of turnaround up there. I think I'm going to leave you with this little wisdom that somebody else told me. Don't let this money burn a hole in your pocket. Don't rush out there and start accepting money that later on you may have to pay it back. We're gonna, as legal counsel, as him and I've talked, along with Nina, we're gonna vet these things out. We're gonna be sure that at the end of the road, that we're not gonna have to pay it back to the best of our ability. We feel that we'll be able to spend that money. But Jeff indicated you get half of that money this year and half next year. Who knows what next year will bring? We would like to think that money is going to come to us, but we're going to try to use it in a very wise way that we can use it under the guidelines.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, Mayor. Williamson Medical Center. Welcome, Paul.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. The April financial statements are in your packet. I wanted to make a couple comments. The hospital is doing well. We had a pretty good April. The hospital is busy. For the most part, I would say we're not seeing a lot of COVID. We're back to normal operations. We went for 7 days without a single COVID patient this weekend. We did admit one. But again, things are fairly back to normal. From a financial standpoint, I know there's a lot of visibility for our debt coverage ratio. Again, we've got some of those bad COVID months out of that calculation. So our debt coverage ratio was 2.12, and our commitment to Williamson County government is 1.5. So we're in compliance with that. I'm happy to entertain any questions regarding Williamson Medical Center.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here tonight. Just a question, does the hospital get any funds from this American Rescue Plan?
Not that I'm aware of. We got some other funding previously, but not that.
Okay. Is it possible there might be some of the money that the county gets that could go to the hospital if we
Yes.
needed it for?
They would be an eligible recipient if the county so chose that kind of project.
Okay.
But again, not for reimbursement of costs incurred during the pandemic, but forward-looking. So expansion of healthcare facilities is an acceptable use of funds.
Okay. That answers my questions. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Chalfant.
Just a question, but a statement that April seemed to be very significant as it relates to pediatrics. and wanted to point that out. Emergency room pediatrics, admissions pediatrics, all are very much increases, and we're very pleased to see that.
Thank you.
Now, I believe you also had some recognition from Medicare as being an exceptional.
Well, I thank you. Yes, we did. There were 4 hospitals in the state that got a 5-star rating, only one in the Nashville area, and that was Williamson Medical Center, and we are pretty proud of that.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Are there any other committees or officers need to want to make a report? All right, moving on with the agenda. Commissioner Lathers, are you? Okay.
Question. Is that okay?
Yes, Gordon's here, yes.
Gordon, could you just give us an update on the Peacock Hill Park project? I listened to your wonderful video, which was great. I just didn't see any information about that. Peacock Hill, thanks.
Looking for a report on Peacock Hill.
Oh, be glad to. So at Peacock Hill, we are in the process of wrapping up all of the pre-bid documents so that we can get that out. We expect that to go out to bid hopefully by the end of this week. So once that gets out to bid, then obviously it's you keep your fingers crossed that everything is going to come in the dollar amount that we have approved. But if you have specific questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Are you still kind of aiming for a fall opening part of the park, or has that been postponed?
No, so part of the infrastructure that we have to have in place before we can open the park are the restrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been working even before we're putting it out to bid on the building that will serve as our main welcome center. And so but we've done all that we can do as a staff. The rest of it all has to be done by general contractors. And so until we can get the bathrooms online, then we can't open the park for public use. So my goal would be this time next year, we definitely should be open because there's not a lot of brick and mortar that's going into that. There's 2 significant structures out there. One of them is a covered bridge that spans a creek, and then the other is basically the parking area and the basically redoing the house so that we can use it for the guest center and restrooms.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other reports? Okay. Moving on with the agenda. Next, we have election and appointments. First is the Convention and Visitors Bureau, 3-year term expiring in June of '24. Term expiring, Judy Hayes. Nomination, Judy Hayes. Entertain.
Second.
Let's see.
Now it is.
All right. We have a motion. Yeah. We have a motion, Commissioner Jones, a second by Commissioner Bethard. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. When they get that up, we're moving fast. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Next, she is appointed. Next is the Independent Audit Committee, 3-year term expiring in June of '24. Term expiring, Patty Parson. Nomination, Royce Ray. Entertain a motion. We have a motion by Aaron Nations and a second by Commissioner Dwight Jones. All in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Any who wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
She is appointment. Next, we have the Library Board of Trustees, 3-year term expiring in 6/24. Term expire Pandre Paisley. Nomination Janine Moore. Term expiring Jeananne Merrill. And nomination Jeananne Merrill. Entertain a motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Webb, second by Commissioner Morton. All in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Next, we have the Veteran Services Officer, 2-year term expiring in June of '23. Term expiring Jeff Vaughn, nomination Jeff Vaughn. We have the motion by Aaron Nations, the second by Dwight Jones. All in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
They are appointed. And last, we have the Emergency Communications Board of Directors, filling unexpired term expiring in 3/22, and the nomination is John Allman. We have a motion by Commissioner Webb, a second by Commissioner Tunnicliffe. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Mr. Story. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Next, we have the consent agenda. This time, we have a motion by Commissioner Ricky Jones, a second by Chaz Morton. There's usually no discussion, so if you're in favor of the consent agenda, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Now we are on to resolutions. Resolution 6-21-1. Resolution amending the 2020-21 general purpose school budget, $250,000 for additional student support services. Commissioner Tunnicliffe, the motion. Commissioner Bethard, the second. The school board was 12-4-0 against. Education committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
Yes, sir, Chairman. This is typical this time of year with the school system to rearrange funds, and this is getting things in line for their year end with the state.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-2. Resolution appropriating $250,000 in general purpose school fund budget from current revenues for related trustee commissions. Commissioner Tunnicliffe, the motion. Commissioner Bethard, the second. The school board was 12-4-0 against. Education committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
Yes, sir, Chairman. This was discussed earlier when Superintendent Golden was at the mic about the funds and property taxes exceeding budgeted amounts.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-3. Resolution requesting the Williamson County Board of County Commissioners approve an intercategory transfer for salary deficiencies. Commissioner Tunnicliffe, the motion. Commissioner Bethard, the second. The school board was 12-4-0 against. Education committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Yes, Chairman, this is another rearranging of dollars, so to speak, to get the school system in line by year end.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-4. Resolution requesting the Williamson County Board of County Commissioners approve an intercategory transfer for general purpose expenditures. The motion by Commissioner Tunnicliff, the second by Commissioner Beathard. School Board was 12-4-0 against. Education Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Chairman, we're right back to another intercategory transfer, rearranging funds for their fiscal year end.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Mr. Mason? Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-5. Resolution to transfer funds from the Rural and General Debt Service Funds to pay principal and interest on energy system conservation debt. Commissioner Tunnicliff the motion, Commissioner Beathard the second. The School Board was 12-4-0 against. Education Committee was 5-4-0 against, and Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Yes, sir, Chairman. This is funds that go back to the contract we signed to save energy cost with our school system. And this is less, obviously, than what we saved, so this is a continuation of that.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-6. Resolution amending the 2020-21 Highway Department budget and appropriating $100,000 for additional engineering costs, revenues to come from unappropriated highway fund balance. The motion, Commissioner Webb. The second, Commissioner Dwight Jones. The Highway Commission was 3-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Mr. Chair, this is for additional engineering expenses by the Highway Department. This is associated with the rapid growth within the county.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-7. Resolution amending the 2020-21 Highway Department budget and appropriating up to $103,260.89 for paving expenses on Murray Lane and Coleman Road, revenues to come from state aid program. The motion, Commissioner Webb. The second, Commissioner Nations. Highway Commission was 3-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Mr. Commissioner Webb.
Mr. Chair, this is for paving expenses on Murray Lane and Coleman Road, which is coming from the state aid fund.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-9. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 Parks and Recreation Department budget by $10,000, revenues to come from participant fees. The motion, Commissioner Hester. The second, Commissioner Hudson. Parks and Recreation Committee was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is money that we need. These are revenues from participant fees. As it says, it's very simple. It's from the Performing Arts Center. The funds are down a little bit this year because of COVID, but anyway, thank you.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Williams has stepped away. We need to mark him as absent. Record the vote, please.
20 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-10. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 Parks and Recreation budget by $72,324.46, revenues to come from donations. Motion by Commissioner Hester, the second by Commissioner Webb. Parks and Recreation was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something we do every year, and we get donations from various youth groups, and this is just the way to arrange it. Thank you.
I will also note that this does include the Senior Olympics, the donation we get from that. And I do want to note that the activities for the Senior Olympics will be June 25th through July 1st. That's a good, it's a good project, and it's a good draw for the county, and so invite you to go out and support it. Again, that's June 25th through July 1st will be the Senior Special Olympics. Are there any questions on this? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Allo? Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-11. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 County Clerk's budget by $40,000, revenues to come from reserve account. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Nations. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
The clerk's office needs some various computer and other equipment, and this is $40,000 from the reserve fund, which is coming from filing fees.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-12. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 County General Miscellaneous Budget by $300,000, revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Bethard. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is to ensure that we have adequate funding should the convention center lose money in the remaining months of this fiscal year.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a question for council. Is this something that might be appropriate to put in the 46 million if we had losses of revenues on the?
It would be tricky depending on the time, because remember, you can't reimburse lost costs prior to March of 2021. So that would be very fact-specific, but it would also be a loss of revenue in a particular sector, so I don't think it would be appropriate for this to be an American Rescue Plan. I'd have to look at it more closely, but I think this would fall into the bucket of you have to look at the entity-wide revenue, not a specific source of revenue.
Is there not some way, if you wanted to appropriate funds for a certain project, that you could get approval prior to spending the funds?
There was a thought that the state was going to try to set up a system by which we could get pre-approval with some kind of hold harmless. That appears to not be taking legs, so to speak, and so we may not have any type of ability to get out of jail free card saying, yeah, you're good to go spend it without fear. So we're going to have to do our best to, the state is going to have a consultant that will help us with their opinion of what is in compliant, but the federal government is not bound by that determination.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Williams? Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-13, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 General Debt Service Fund by $515,326 for interest payments, revenues to come from undesignated fund balance. The motion, Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Nations. Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is the debt service, which our finance director alluded to earlier during her report, and note that these payments are due within 6 months of the closing date of the bond issue.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-14, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 capital projects budget by $1,251,870.76 for the purchase of van pool vehicles, revenues to come from grant funds. The motion, Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Nations. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is a grant to the TMA for purchase of vehicles, and no additional local funds are required. This is simply a grant.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-15, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 other charges employees benefit budget by $120,000 to provide for unemployment insurance, revenues to come from unappropriated county general fund balance. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Herbert. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
This is extra unemployment compensation insurance, as we had some programs that were eliminated, thus we did have some layoffs, and so we had extra cost in this case. Primarily part-time.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Rainey's trying.
Yes.
All right. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-16, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 Rural Debt Service Fund by $734,173 for principal and interest payments, revenues to come from undesignated fund balance. The motion, Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Herbert. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is another payment due on these bonds that were issued within the last 6 months. Again, the Finance Director alluded to these earlier in her comments.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Hudson? Good. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-17, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 County General and Solid Waste Fund budgets for expenses related to COVID-19, revenues to come from respective fund balances. The motion, Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Morton. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Mr. Chair, these were various costs incurred due to the pandemic that were not included in this fiscal year's budget and were not covered under the CARES Act. So this is the reason for the amendment.
Excuse me. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-18, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 Capital Projects Fund budget of $558,000 for the pro rata distribution, revenues to come from privilege tax. Motion of Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Nations. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Part of the privilege tax goes back to the cities and towns within the county, and so this is this resolution takes care of that distribution.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-19, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 County Commission tax relief budget by $50,000, revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Dwight Jones. The Tax Study Committee was 4-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Mr. Chair, the number of participants in this program exceeded those that was budgeted, so we're adding funds to cover the additional participants qualifying.
This is one of the good things. We have 3 separate programs. We're one of the only county in the state that has our own program, and I think the total we had was about $700,000 that has gone towards this program this year. But are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-20, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 Trustees Commission in the respective operating funds, revenues to come from fund balance in each respective fund. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Herbert. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is the Trustees Commission that wasn't budgeted, as we never know the full amount at the budget start of the year, and so this just clean this up before we end this fiscal year.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-21, resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 Capital Projects Fund budget by $76,600 for Trustees Commission, revenues to come from reserve balance. The motion, Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Morton. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
These are privilege tax and impact fees that have been collected that we have to pay the Trustees Commission on.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-22, Resolution appropriating and amending the 2020-21 county attorney's budget by $155,000. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Dwight Jones. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
During the pandemic, as you can tell, we've had to consult with the attorneys more during the past year, and so this was not anticipated in the budget. So this is asking to cover the fees for unexpected legal fees.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-23. Resolution requesting an inter-category budget adjustment for allocation of fee expense within the 2020-21 Community Development Department by $11,500 to provide for fees charged in association with and the collection of education impact fee, adequate facilities tax, adequate schools facility tax, and other miscellaneous fees. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Herbert. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
The high volume of fees collected during this fiscal year causes a reallocation amongst the planning department's budget line items, and that's what we're doing here, another cleanup.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-35. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a grant agreement with the State of Tennessee Department of Agriculture on behalf of Williamson County Animal Center and appropriating and amending the 2020-21 animal control budget by $1,000. Revenues to come from state revenues. Commissioner Webb, the motion. Commissioner Herbert, the second. This was grant funds that we received. That the reason it was late filed is they have to be signed by the end of the month, so we had to get it into today's agenda. So are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution 6-21-24. Resolution amending the fee schedule for the provision of traffic study reviews by third-party traffic consultants that are initiated by the Williamson County Planning Department. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Herbert. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
When someone comes in for development, the county hires a third-party traffic engineering firm, and the cost of those consultants has gone up. So this request to increase the fee to more closely cover the cost incurred by the county for those traffic studies.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-25. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a lease agreement with the Williamson County Fair Association, Inc. Motion by Commissioner Lothers, the second by Commissioner Bethard. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir. Commissioner
Yeah, the Fair Board is using space that was formerly the Franklin Fire Department that was built, if you remember, after the bridge collapsed a few years ago, and so they have moved to their new facility, and so there's an opportunity for the fair to use that abandoned site by the city of Franklin, and so that's what this does. This authorizes the mayor to enter an agreement with the Fair Association.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Aiello, Commissioner Landrum, Bethard. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-26. The resolution authorizing for a continuous 4-year reappraisal cycle. The motion, Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Lathers. The Tax Study Committee was 4-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
I'll defer to Commissioner Landrum. Okay. I don't believe Mr. Colbert is here, but basically this is
Yes,
for.
yes.
Or is, okay, he's here for, I would suggest if anyone has any questions, but basically we're moving from a 5-year to a 4-year. And he made a great presentation at the Budget Committee, so if anyone has any questions, I would invite Mr. Coleman to answer those questions.
Okay, all right, Commissioner Beathard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Coleman, for being here. Yes, sir. So I've heard both sides of this argument, and I get the idea of doing it more often, less and fewer surprises. Some of the seniors in my district who are on fixed incomes worry that this may, in their words, more quickly move them out of this county. Okay. What are some of the things you're hearing, and what are the reasons, if you support it, that you do support it?
I think overall the biggest reason that we would move to a 4-year cycle, which is the trend amongst the bigger counties, including most of the counties within Middle Tennessee, are currently on a 4-year cycle. The state does allow to do a 4, 5, or a 6-year cycle, and as most of you know, we've been on a 5 since '96. For myself, the main reason we would want to do it as an office is to try to decrease those large shifts in value. If you're going up 6% a year, instead of sending out notices of a 30% increase in value over a 5-year window, you'd be looking at a 24% increase in value over a 4-year window. Keep in mind that the whole purpose of the reappraisal is to bring about equity throughout the county. Really, the purpose of the reappraisal has nothing to do with taxes or potential fear that comes with that on taxes that may be due. Anytime that we have a reappraisal in the county, we also calculate a certified tax rate, which keeps it revenue neutral. So, say it a different way, the county can't bring in extra revenue just because of the reappraisal itself. That would have to be proposed by the commission on a rate that exceeds the certified tax rate. So in any reappraisal year, should the commission decide to adopt the certified tax rate, that would be revenue neutral for the county. And so the person that went up the average amount would pay the same amount they did the previous year.
As a follow-up, if I may,
Yes.
is there any reasoning for going to 4 years then? If the logic is to not have big surprises, why not every other year, or every 3 years?
That is the trend. Currently, the state law says that you're allowed to do either a 4, 5, or a 6-year plan. There are no counties within Tennessee that are doing less than 4. There is a lot of discussion about possibly doing that. We could, as a county, or I could, as the assessor, propose a plan to the state to do a reappraisal more often than 4 years. But again, that has not been my wish at this point. I think that we will see that trend in the coming years, possibly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Sturgeon?
Hi, Brad.
Hi there.
I was just reviewing this resolution again last night, and I don't really understand the fourth whereas, or I'm not sure how it works. It says a 4-year appraisal cycle. It says in the second year, a sales ratio study will be conducted during the second year of the review cycle of centrally assessed properties and commercial, industrial, tangible, personal property. What's that second year study?
Well, currently on a 5-year cycle, there is a ratio study done in year 2 and in year 4. And so that's already being done in the 5-year. Going to a 4-year, we'll get rid of the 4th year, the second ratio study. We will only have one. And without getting in the weeds too much, that'll be easier on us administratively. It will take a procedure that's being used by some in the appeals process in that 4th year asking for a sales ratio. But what that sales ratio is, it's saying where are we at with current market value versus the previous reappraisal. And so that ratio, the difference between those two numbers, is applied to our personal property, which is
assessed every year, and then it will also be applied to any properties that were appealed in that second or fourth year.
So you're saying you develop a ratio for a certain area, and then you apply that a ratio to all the properties in that area?
No, it's, so 16 was our last reappraisal, and this one 18 and again in 20, we did ratio studies. And so where personal property is required to turn in a schedule for their assets every year, that ratio is applied to them because they're being reported every year.
So in years that you're not doing a ratio study, you apply the ratio? Is that what you're saying?
In year one of a reappraisal, we're at 100% of value, so there's no ratio. Year two, there's no ratio, or the first year of that. The year two, there will be a sales ratio applied to personal property. And in a 5-year, it's done again.
Does that impact the amount of work you have to do? I think it would.
It can, and the trend is that that's going to be more and more of an issue for us. This would eliminate that fourth year ratio
So
study.
it's going to save you work.
Yes.
Thanks.
Commissioner Story.
That last point was one of the questions that I had, but I guess if I live in a home for 8 years and there's no, pending a tax increase, each reassessment, my tax rate really, or my tax amount really doesn't change, barring any tax increases during the time. Correct, yeah. So, but from a house sale, the value of the property changes during the sale of the property. So if I buy it for $500 but sell it for $600, the individual buying it for $600 is now roughly being assessed at that sales price, correct? No?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The only time there's a change made within the cycle itself is if there's a physical change to the property.
To the property.
So if you build an addition, put a pool in, if you have storm damage, so it's both ways. If there's a physical change to the property, we would address it each year.
So okay, then that answers my question. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
Thank you. Question on the folks that were affected by the flood. You and I spoke about that. If you could explain that to me one more time, and also so those that are watching in my district can get
Yes,
an understanding a little better.
absolutely.
That would be great. And if you don't mind, real quick also, you spoke in the tax study meeting about your staff and the number of years that they've all served. And I was awed by that. If you could just let the rest of the commission and the public know about that, I'd appreciate it. Just quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've bragged. I've been in office since 2012. I inherited a great staff that have been there for many, many years. And at that tax study committee, you were presented, and I believe all of you were emailed the 4-year plan. At the end of that plan, it shows my staff that helps to do this massive task that we do. There are 28 folks plus me that are working day in, day out. If you go through the appraisers, our most veteran appraiser's got 31 years of service, and our rookie has 9 years of service. And so if you put those together, I like to brag at the state, I've got over 200 years of experience just in my appraisal wing. That's not including all my admin, all my mappers, and my personal property folks. So very lucky to have a veteran staff, which makes a very difficult job much easier. To answer your question about flood properties, absolutely. Anytime that there's damage made to a property, we want to be made aware of that. We would make a adjustment to that property for the time period that the problem is there. So once that problem's cured, we would bring it back to current market value as is.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Hudson? Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
19 yes, 2 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-28. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute an agreement to purchase improved property located at 8029 Horton Highway, Arrington, Tennessee. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Lathers. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is a piece of property in this area which is rapidly growing, which the county will use for various services to the citizens in that area. The mayor can answer any specific questions if any come up.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Hudson. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-29. Resolution to surplus and approve the conveyance of a German Shepherd K-9 officer with the Williamson County Sheriff's Office to his law enforcement handler. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Tunnicliff. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Officer Onyx is being retired and to his handler, and there's a budget item of $3,500 for the purpose of helping his veterinary care expenses in retirement. Sheriff was here, I believe he's still here, if anybody has any questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Whoops, we have a question. Commissioner Lathers.
I just want to see the dog. We never get to see the dogs. I'll make private arrangements, okay? Thank you.
Maybe the sheriff can send us all a photo of his retirement ceremony.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Bethard? Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-30. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Juvenile Detention Facility of Rutherford County for mutual assistance. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Nations. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Now, this resolution allows us to hold any youth with Rutherford County if space is unavailable here in Williamson County. It's just a memorandum of understanding, and we have those with other counties in the area.
Are there any questions?
And Judge
Commissioner Mason.
Guffey is here if anybody has a question.
Commissioner Mason.
I have a question for Judge Guffey, if she has a moment. I figured she's been sitting here the whole time. I'm going to let her stretch her legs.
Yes, ma'am.
I know there are talks to, and if I'm not mistaken, the process has started at looking at a juvenile justice center, a new one in the county. If we build that to the size that we need, will we need to continue to enter into these type of MOUs, or will we be big enough to actually house inmates from other counties and make it a revenue driving source?
We don't call them inmates.
I know. I realized I said that.
In the adult system. You knew
I
as soon as
know.
you said it. But they're children.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. We do generate some revenue from the county contracts that we have, and we would anticipate that going forward with a new building.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, these memorandums work both ways.
Correct.
So we send and receive. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-31. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a contract with the Regional Transportation Authority concerning the provisions of regional bus service. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Nations. Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
Now, this resolution allows the mayor to enter in with the Regional Transit Authority, the RTA, so that we can cooperate with them in providing the regional transportation service, that's the bus services, within the county. It also helps with this understanding to have designated locations for residents to park their cars when they're riding the bus.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-32. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement between Williamson County, Tennessee and the town of Thompson Station for the provision of law enforcement coverage. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Bethard. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
The town of Thompson Station has agreed to pay $100,000 per year for this year, 21-22, and an additional $100,000 each year as this interlocal agreement is extended for sheriff's office deputies to provide law enforcement coverage in the town. The sheriff reported at the Budget Committee that this would work within his budget and would not be harmful to his budget or staff. He is here if you have any questions.
Do we have any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Commissioner Hudson? Anyone would change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-21-33. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with Premier Marketing Incorporated. The motion by Commissioner Webb, the second by Commissioner Nations. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, sir.
This piece of property, the county has owned for many years at 300 Beasley Drive, and this entity, Premier Marketing, has leased it for many years. This resolution allows them to continue for 1 year, not to exceed 1 year.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no. Anyone wish to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Is there any other business to come before the commission? If not, I have a few announcements to make. First, if you would, hit the button to turn your microphones off and your monitor off. Second, the Williamson County Fair is only 53 days away. There are posters available in the mayor's office. On the cart. They're over here. They've got some up here. You want some on the cart up here. Please take them and distribute to your communities. Our next meeting in July is a day meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. Will we have lunch? We will have our lunch. We will. And the annual photo will be done at the Enrichment Center. We will recess for lunch and then, but that'll be, again, our July meeting is our 9 a.m. meeting. I don't think I did this beforehand. I'm going to thank the Sheriff's Department for their security providing tonight and thank all the staff for all the work they've done. For putting the agenda together and doing the open meeting for us. It makes it run smooth. If there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.